every day.
Ladies and gentlemen, Glen Beck. Hello, Ohio. This is the group that is about to change the world. I want you to know that I mean that. I have said that for a while, that this audience, this group, this Tea Party, these Americans, these few people, you're going to change the world. And you're going to do it on Tuesday. Prepare for miracles. Prepare. Have a seat. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. We wanted to be here all week and be in several different cities, but because of the hurricane, we could only spend one night, and we decided to spend it here in Columbus. Thank you so much for coming and spending your Friday night. We really, my message to you is, don't give up. And you're not going to convince anybody if they don't get that Marxism is playing a role in America today. If they don't get it yet, they're never going to. We just have to share with our neighbors and our friends really, truly who we really are. They've said all kinds of awful things about Tea Party people and 9/12 people and me and you and everybody, and none of it's true. And that's okay. They're going to say whatever they want. Let your actions, let your heart lead, and you will change the world. You'll change people's minds by changing their hearts, and we will be able to restore the country. And it really, I'm telling you, I know it feels overwhelming at times, but it's really not. When I got here, I got a letter. It was handed to me backstage. I just want to read a bit of this to you. Dear Mr. Beck, I knew if given a chance to meet you, my time would be far too short for me to convey the depth of gratitude and inspiration and encouragement that you have given me. I decided to compose this letter. I hope that you would read it and share its message with your wife. I started listening to your program about 6 years ago, and I've been blessed for it. I'm 38 years old, and I'm a single father. I have a son who's 14. He and I have both been through some tough times. His mother left me when he was 2. I fought for custody then, and I lost. I fought for the next 4 years to stay in his life. And during this time, some very traumatic things happened in my son's life that led me to seek once more to gain full custody in 2008. Well, by that time I had met a wonderful woman and fallen in love, and we lived together until one day, with the burden and the trauma from our experience playing a large part, it ended. I found myself homeless again and with a broken heart, for I truly loved her. I struggled greatly on my own, for she had been a great help to me. I soon lost custody of my son because I didn't know how to cope with the trauma that he was dealing with and the demons that we all have. I felt I had failed as a father, and I had made bad choices, and to top it all off, I was dead broke with debt. It was beyond a nightmare. Eventually, I found myself surrounded by cold tin walls of a storage unit, using an ab lounge, of all things, for a bed. By the way, note, it's never a good idea, ever. Although I did get pretty ripped just trying to get out of bed every morning. Anyway, I was barely hanging on to my job. My older brother turned his back on me, close friend, quit speaking to me. I felt that I had lost everything that mattered. I only felt pain inside and bitterness, and I drank myself to sleep a lot. Then I heard you speak of your own struggles one day, and you spoke of change. You talked about your son. I heard others call in and talk about their struggles, and you spoke words of encouragement. You spoke of love and compassion and of God. You spoke to me, although you didn't know it. You were my only friend. I decided then to get my house in order. I cleaned myself up. I made a plan. I stayed in the fight. I determined to change it all or die trying. Not just lay down and die in that damn ab lounge. Inspired by some things that you said one day, I wrote down something, a note for myself, a constant motto to live by, if you will. Today I want you to know that last year I got my son back. We live together now as father and son day by day in a house I bought for us. It isn't much, really, but I guess I paid for it. I paid for it in full, and it's my home. It's our home. I still have my job, but now I'm the crew leader of the production shop. I raised a huge garden this year and sold some stuff at a farm market with my son at my side, and I learned that you can put back a lot of stuff for emergencies, as you suggested. And you should know, Glenn, that we got into it twice this year because I had no money for food, but we have eaten like kings every day. I'm also on track to be debt-free within 2 years, and my credit has risen from garbage to an excellent rating. I bought my own truck with my own credit. Needless to say, now I am filled with great hope and confidence that no matter the trial, we're prepared, and my son and I will do just fine. In love and liberty, I pledge my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. Your friend, Jason Barr. Jason is here in the 7th row. Jason, you and your son, stand up, please. We have a slight fire here on stage. He made this for me. Jason, I will hang it in my office. It's something that he wrote, a motto for himself. The moment a man stops trying to do his very best is the exact moment he begins to do his worst. How true it is. And that's my message to you tonight. It's this message. This message. The message: we stop trying to do our best, we begin to do our worst. And that's what's happened to the country. We stopped trying to do our best. We're just hanging on. This is a letter that was written at 2 o'clock in the morning to General George Washington. It's from Stony Point, 2 a.m., from General Anthony Wayne. This is a letter that was written on the battlefield. General Wayne had just been shot in the head, but he took the time before he put the bandages on to write a letter to the Washington. And he said, that's when men were men. I'm fine, I just got a bullet in the head. What? He said, Dear General, the fort and the garrison with Colonel Johnstone are ours. Your officers and men behaved like men who are determined to be free. That's what we have to be. We have to be people that behave like people determined to be free. I challenge you to write that down. That's one of the most powerful phrases I've ever heard. Put it in front of you and check yourself every day. Are you behaving like someone determined to be free? Because that's what it's going to take. It doesn't end on Tuesday. I got news for you. This is just the end of the beginning. We've just made it to the beginning. People keep saying that this election is a choice, and it is. It's a huge choice of the kind of America that we want to have. What kind of America do you choose? Because there are two visions that are competing now. A choice between two futures. That's what people tell us, and they are absolutely right. We are not, though, just choosing for ourselves. We are choosing for every American who chooses to follow us. Because in the end, what we choose to do is the America that we'll be left with, the America that we will pass on to our children, the America that they will inherit. We all inherited this country. We all inherited these freedoms. Very few actually fought for our freedom. You have to go back to the Second World War. People have stood guard for freedom. But now it's our turn. Every single generation has to make this choice. And right now, the entire world, make no mistake, is watching you. In particular, you here in Ohio. Do you realize that this one small scrap of land in the middle of our country is making a choice that will affect the entire world? You are living in history. You are writing history. Because the world is watching how you behave and what choice you make. Our enemies are watching. They're curious. Our friends all over the world are watching. They're curious. What are they going to choose? Where are they going, they will ask. What path will they start to walk down? Can you imagine what the mullahs are saying now in Tehran? Because they are watching your every move as they are building their weapons, making their plots. They're watching in Tehran, they're watching in Beijing, they're watching in Moscow. What will the Americans do? And they are hoping that you will do nothing. Because when Americans act, they lead the world. Meanwhile, they are working to undermine our freedom, our system, justice, God, our jobs. They must be wondering, do the Americans even understand the world anymore? Have the Americans gone over the cliff? And for once, I actually agree with the mullahs. I actually agree with the communists and the kleptocrats. Because we can choose to stay asleep. Or we can choose to wake up. Wake up, be wide awake. This election is not just a choice in policies. This election is whether or not we wake up and stay awake. It's an election where we have to choose the path. Do we go down this path or this path? Do we want to get back to where we used to be, and not with the George Bush administration? That wasn't all that great. Go back to the original idea that man is truly free, that you earn your own way, that we are a place of merit and honor and integrity. It is a choice. It is a choice between fact and fiction, between truth and falsehood, between things that we know to be true and the things that we are told to believe. That is our choice. Do you know how blessed we are? Do you know how much trouble we have? But do you know how blessed we are that we can still make that choice? What a blessing. We can look at America right now and see what is plain to the eye. We have become a different nation, a nation that I don't think our grandparents would recognize. Our founders certainly would not. I said on the air today that if this is the nation that we are to become, one that deals with our soldiers the way we have dealt with the soldiers in Benghazi, then I no longer want to call myself an American if that's the way you define American. We have made the wrong choices. We've gone off the rail. We're a nation now that is nothing more than a handout nation. In the last 4 years, 6 million more Americans are now living in poverty. 15 million more are now on food stamps. 9 million people have filed for disability. 9 million people. 3 million people are now on long-term unemployment. And 23 million Americans now in the last 4 years have just given up. They're out of the workforce. I can't do it. The only growth industry in this nation right now is welfare. And that is a choice. And it is a choice that we have made. And a choice that we are now being told we have to accept because you can't do any better. We're a sticker nation now. We give awards out just for showing up. Hey, congratulations, loser. Here's your award. We see it in our schools. Our kids are encouraged not to compete. Well, what's that going to get you? Where is that going to get you? We're being taught not to pursue greatness. You see it on the baseball fields. You see it on their soccer fields. Everybody's getting a trophy, even or maybe especially if they lose. Oh, let's give him a bigger trophy so he doesn't feel like such a loser. In the classrooms, they're pulling more college-level courses out, fewer AP classes, no letter grades. Can't have a letter grade because somebody will get an A and somebody will get a D and they'll feel really bad. Boo-hoo, cry me a river. What is wrong with us? Instead of accomplishment, we get participation trophies. We get a sticker just for showing up. That's the choice. That's the choice, and we're told that's the choice we have to make. We are now a zero-sum nation. A zero-sum nation. This is a nation that believes that America just has one pie. One. It doesn't get any bigger than that. You can't make any more. We're told that only 10% of people have most of that pie, and that's unfair. Boy, it sure sounds unfair. I mean, why don't we go to the bakery and make more pie? They don't do that. It's a zero-sum nation. We don't make more pie. In a zero-sum nation, you're just stuck with what you have. Everything you get, you can't have. If I have something, well, then you can't have it. If you have something, I can't have it. And everybody else wants something that somebody else has in a zero-sum nation. If someone else is up, then that means you have to be down. If I'm rich, you're poor. That's insanity. One family goes up the ladder, it means another family has to go down. Is this who we are? That's the choice we've been told we have to accept. The choice that is drummed in our head day after day from Hollywood and the media, in our culture all the time. That's who we are. That's who we are. It'll never get better. You can't make it out. It's a lie. It is a lie. You are in charge of your future. A future not just It is not a future where you either eat the rich or the rich eat you. That's a lie. But these are the choices that we have all made. Some of us actively, some of us just because we've sat back and let them be made. But it is a choice. It's a choice to become a handout nation or a sticker nation or a zero-sum nation. But when you describe that nation, you're missing something. You notice what we're missing? We're missing freedom. We're missing courage. We're missing honor. We're missing charity. We're missing merit and virtue. Those are the things that are missing in a zero-sum nation. And that's what's made our country great. That's what we have to do. Restore those things to restore our nation. And we could remind America that there are still choices available to America. We could open our eyes and see America's future in a much different light, a very, very bright light. On November 6th, on Tuesday, we could vote to make a different choice. And I have good news for you. This Tuesday, we will. Never surrender, never give up. Never! We will not be those people. This Tuesday, you're going to send a message to the whole world. On Wednesday, we're going to wake up to a new America. An America that has been lost and is dusty, but it lives in all of us. It does live in all of us. An America that is the last great hope of freedom on the entire planet. The world is watching. The world is waiting for you. It is waiting. Sometimes I think that while we forget who we are, the world doesn't. Our enemies don't forget who we are. They're just hoping you do. The world remembers. They know who America is. The world has seen time and time again what we can do, what we're capable of. The good things and the bad things, but mainly the good things, because there's nobody that's done as many good things as America has. I want to tell you about George Sultan. George Sultan was born in Poland in 1928. He was Jewish. You can do the math from here. Born in 1928, being Jewish in Poland, it's not going to end well. He was sent to a concentration camp, and things went the way they usually did in a concentration camp, and he barely lived to tell the story. But it was April 1945, and the German troops that had been there in the concentration camp, all of a sudden they disappeared. All of a sudden they were just like, we're out of here. And all of the people that were in the concentration camp knew that something was up. This is what he said. He said, I noticed that prisoners were yelling and screaming and jumping for joy and dancing. And then standing amongst them, he described them as 7 giants. 7 giants. They had to be 18 or 19 years old, he said, and they were American soldiers. He said, when I saw the American soldiers, we screamed, we yelled, we hugged, because we knew it was the day of liberation. The day of liberation had come. That's what America means to the whole world. Liberation, freedom, courage, strength, virtue, merit, honor. If 7 or 8 teenagers wearing American soldiers can inspire and be part of the greatest liberation in all of our lifetimes, people don't forget that. They don't forget that. They know the heart of America. They know the goodwill of America. They've seen it, and they know that that heart still beats. And they're longing for that reputation and that heart to get stronger and beat a little louder because they need it. Our choice on Tuesday is greatness. Not mediocrity, but greatness. Not just holding on, but greatness. Greatness, that is a choice. To be better than we've ever been in our lifetime. It's an honor to be those people and strive to be so much more. We see it in generation. We see it all the time when our leaders choose a different path, which they usually do, because 9 out of 10 times they're scumbags. They choose the wrong path. But that's because we're looking at them as leaders. We, the people, we are the leaders. They are the executors. When given a choice, Americans will always show honor and courage. when given that choice in Benghazi, the men who protected our ambassadors, honor and courage, they weren't even there to protect the ambassador. They heard about the fight and wouldn't be left out. They ran in. They fought for 7 hours against incredible odds, against a far greater force. I have to tell you, when you know how they fought, and you put yourself in their shoes, with one of them on top of the CIA safe house. It wasn't an embassy, the CIA safe house. And one of them is on top with a machine gun and a laser pointer. And he can paint the enemy. And we have drones watching. And the people in Washington in the Situation Room are saying, stand down, stand down. And you know our military brass said, send a drone. Send one that's armed. Send one. We can send it. We can launch. You imagine being on top of that building, painting the enemy, being on the comm, firing your weapon, begging for support, and being told there's no help coming. That's not who we are. They fought with honor and courage. They fought like Americans, and they fought alone, and they fought to the end. But the dream of America does not die with them. Hopefully it rekindles us and makes us stronger, and it begins with them. They were tested, they passed. Others were tested and they failed. We will not fail. They proved that Americans are more courageous than their leaders. What a surprise. They proved this too, that Americans still got a lot of fight in them. That Americans will still fight no matter what the odds. We will fight when it's right, and we will fight for decency and honor and freedom. That is the choice we must make. That's a choice that our leaders must make, to fight for freedom, to stand up when the going gets tough. To hell with the consequences. You stand up and you stand and you square your shoulders because it's the right thing to do. America is ready to make a different choice. Ready. I can feel it. I'm telling you, I can feel it. You're going to see a Chick-fil-A event on Tuesday. Nobody had to bust those people in. There's too many issues. We all know there's too many things that just aren't right, and we have to make another choice. We have to make a choice on strong currency. I've been saying to people, please prepare, please prepare. I've been mocked by all of the people in New York for I don't know how long, and look at them now. Look at them now. And you know what I'm so proud of? No matter how, and the city, New York, I hate. They treated me and my family like absolute garbage. But you know what I'm proud of? I am proud of that this audience in the last 36 hours has raised $1.2 million. And we were the first with trucks with food and water in Staten Island, and we were the first on the ground in Coney Island. And I'm going myself next week to deliver more trucks. We will not become the people we despise, with malice toward none and charity toward all. That's who we are. I've been saying, please prepare. You don't know what's coming. The world can change by Wednesday. Your life as you know it could change by the end of next week. The world is a dangerous and volatile place. And we've got situations now that are crazy, where we're just printing money. We have to make a different choice. You know, right before we signed the Constitution, we made really, really bad choices. We were a country, we broke away from England, we had significant debt, the states started taking out loans, they started spending money that they could never pay back. We became a debtor nation. Sound familiar? It's exactly what we're doing now. And our currency was trashed. Everything was worthless. You didn't want continental script. What do you want that for? So the Founding Fathers returned to the drawing board, and they got together, and they decided that if you wanted to be a great nation, one of the things you had to have was a sound currency. You had to have merit. You had to have honor. Your word was your bond. If you say that's $1, damn well better be $1. You say that's worth X amount of gold, it better be worth an X amount of gold. That's the only thing. You just have to be able to trust. Yes, we were a nation of farmers, but we were a free nation, of free men, of honorable people that were wildly skeptical of big government because we had seen what big government had done before. And we set out a new path, and we wrote a constitution that we would be a very strong nation of very strong states with strong currency. And we would most of all be a nation that paid its debts. And so we chose a national currency backed by national wealth. We have to choose that again. We have to choose to restore our currency and our honor in the world. It's another choice that we have. We can continue to go down this road and nothing will be of any value. And believe me, as an alcoholic, a guy who destroyed everything in his life, the only thing in the end that you will really want is your name. The only thing that you'll really want is you'll want to have somebody look you in the eye, and when you say, "It's true, I mean it," you will want them to believe you. But if you continue to go down this road, no one will. Believe me, we can lose our houses, we can lose our cars, we can lose our jobs, we can lose everything, but as long as we have each other, and your word is your bond, and my word is my bond, we'll make it. We'll make it through anything. And it's not a choice of just holding on. It's not. Believe me, I am the example, I'm the epitome of a wreckage of life. And look at where we are now. Do you realize that 4 years ago, most of us didn't know each other? You didn't know each other. You weren't part of some freedom movement. Most of us were just going along. Look how much stuff you've learned and know. Look how you've changed in 4 years. You're not making the choice to just hang on. You're making a choice of vibrancy and dynamic expansion. You are making the choice not to live in the zero-sum America that you're all just stuck with whatever you got. That's Europe. That's not us. We're not living in a world where if you want to make a better life, you have to take it from somebody else. That's not it. We refuse to fight for the table scraps. I'm not going to listen to people telling us anymore, sorry, this is it. No more food coming out of the kitchen. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to worry about it yourself. That's all the pie we're going to make. Make more pie. Make more pie. So you don't get what you thought you were going to get. You don't get upset. Because when you allow somebody to do that to you, it stirs up envy, and it stirs up jealousy, and it stirs up anger and hate, and division, and we already got plenty of that. We don't need any more of that. We need to chart a course in the other direction. It doesn't inspire people. Have you noticed the lofty campaign of 4 years ago is gone? There is no inspiration there anymore because none of it is real. Nobody is encouraging anybody to be better. Nobody is encouraging anybody to get up, pull yourself up. Nobody helped you in that tin shed. You did it yourself. You heard somebody say, get up, and you chose to do it. And now you are an inspiration to everybody here. That's the way it's supposed to be. Think about who we are, not just as Americans, but think of who we are really as human beings. We are given an amazing blessing from God. Really, truly amazing. We're given life. We're given a mind, a creative mind. We're given choice. And we're given these hands. The whole package is the fire of imagination. If you imagine and you're willing to put these to work, anything is possible. If you can dream, you can invent, you can be bold, you can take the risks. Since man has begun walking on this spinning fragment of driftwood in space, the only thing that we ever needed, this. Nobody had to tell us to use our brain. Well, I should take that back. My mother used to say, can you use your brain? But generally speaking, nobody ever had to tell us. We found it. We discovered. Nobody needed to give us permission to invent the wheel. Nobody did a government study or gave government handouts to make the first mast for a sail. Nobody said, well, now wait a minute, we need a government study. They tied a big sheet or something to a big stick on a raft, and they're like, hey, this is pretty good, huh? That's how it happened. That's what we do as human beings. We think it, we do it. And nobody does that better than Americans. The rest of the world is starting to catch up. The Chinese, the Indians, the Brazilians, and they're all nipping at our heels. But you know what? They're not actually catching up to us. We've just slowed down. They're not getting faster. We've just slowed down. But I'm not worried because we have the 11 secret herbs and spices. We've got freedom. We still have freedom. And freedom is an amazing thing if you are an inventor. If you look at healthcare alone in Europe, they ration healthcare. In Asia, they ration healthcare. Everybody has access, but nobody has really great access. Everybody just has their little piece and a little slice of the pie. Nobody wants to go to a public doctor. You want to go to a public hospital? No, thank you. No, thank you. You don't want to go to a public hospital in America if you can help it. And to quote the president, sometimes it might just be better if you just take the pill. Don't worry about that artificial hip. Sure, it might be better for you. You might think you want that, but sorry, you're too old for that procedure. That's the way it is in the rest of the world. And what happens? There becomes two classes, even in that. Two classes, because the wealthy people, they'll just go someplace else. They'll find it. They'll find better health care because they won't take what's just given. They'll go out someplace else and get something better. And you know where they've always found it? Here. They've always come to America. If they need surgery or advanced care, they go to the Mayo Clinic, or they go to Mount Sinai, or they go to the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio. The leaders of the world have come here. Because if your family needs a medical miracle, America has always been the place to go. And you just might get one. Because in America, we don't just live with the pain and the illness and the disease, and we just don't say, oh, that's good enough for me. We're the country that is about to cure AIDS and HIV. We're the country that's about to cure cancer. I was just doing a fundraiser last Saturday for a group of people that I believe in the next 10 years, if we could get the FDA out of the way, in the next 3 years, we would cure cancer. We're the people who are cutting down the number of people dying of heart attacks. It's us. It's the Americans. And we're doing this because we don't accept the boundaries the rest of the world puts on mankind. There will always be miracles. Always. As long as there's freedom in America. Always. In America, we have to just remember this one thing. We were born out of a miracle. Our country itself is a miracle. How can people not believe in miracles when our founding was a miracle? A miracle is something that when it happens, you either accept it and embrace it and honor it and cherish it and pass it on to your children and tell the stories over and over and over again so they'll never forget it, or you ignore it and it dies. Miracles happen in every single age, and the faithful see miracles. They don't scoff, they don't chortle, they don't laugh about it, they don't mock it, they don't. They recognize that God's miracles are His entrance to our world. That's what a miracle is. God's entrance, slipping through the veil and just gently touching us on the cheek. It's what our founders called divine providence. Divine providence. It touches everybody. It touched George Washington, a devout Christian, and Thomas Paine, an atheist. It still does today. The heathen and the saved. The Republican and the Democrat. The left and the right. The conservative or even the progressives. Woodrow Wilson, I'm sure, experienced some miracles. I hate that guy. It's up to us, though, to choose to be the witness of the miracle. And then it's up to us to know what it means and what to do next. It always comes down to that, a choice. Do we recognize the miracle of America, where the dreamers and the builders are celebrated and honored and cherished? Or do we take it all for granted and mock and threaten and tax the inventors and the creative? And anybody who wants to change their station in life by building. I don't know why it's a surprise to people that business isn't exactly chugging along. People who want to go into business and change their station in life, all that stuff happens to them. They're threatened. It's hazardous to your health, quite honestly, to be in business today. This election is all about one word. It's whether we say this one word. Enough. Enough. Enough with the greed. Enough with the jealousy. Enough with the class wealth warfare. Enough with the racial division. Let's rebuild America. Enough. Let's rebuild America. Let's reaffirm the American dream and be a society that builds and prospers. Because if we're that society, we can also be a society that just prospers not just at the top, but also cares for those who struggle. We don't have to be a sticker nation. We don't have to be a zero-sum nation, a nation comfortable with the mushy middle of mediocrity, a country that gets a free lunch, free health care, free solar panels. I want an Obama phone. Because in the end, somebody else picks up the check. And if all of you are getting the Obama phone, that means you have to pay for it. And when you want an Obama phone, that means you are going to pay for it. Eventually, there's nobody left to pay for all the free Obama phones. That's not our America. That's not the America that any of us really want to live in, except for the extraordinarily lazy. But that's not honoring our gift. That's not honoring anything. And quite honestly, if we wanted that, move to Europe. France has got that in spades. You can have that, and you can have the little beanie on their head and everything. That'd be great. You want that? Move to China. Some other place where only a few prosper and only the well-connected get all of the perks. And everybody else has to just scrape along, and you're never going to change your station in life. Move somewhere else. Let us be. Enough. America isn't that place, and we're not that people. We love to compete. We love to compete fairly and honestly. That's who we are. We're people who love to compete. We love the game. We love the race. We love to see the guy who has a better idea. We love to see somebody come from nothing and make it, and then stumble, and then make it again. We love that. We love to compete, and when somebody else who is in that line with us stumbles and falls, we're the people that help them up. We stop, help them up, and we start the race anew. We don't want trophies for participation. We don't want prizes just for showing up. We're the people that change the world, and I got news for you. We now stand ready to change the world again for the better, and this isn't something we hope for. This is something we do on Tuesday. We do this because we have never been the people to stand down. We don't stand down. We don't back down from a challenge. We have never led from behind until now. We have never apologized to the world until now. We've never abandoned freedom of speech until now. We never gave up the pursuit of mankind's dreams to slip through the envelope into space, into the heavens, until now. We never had anything but a AAA credit rating until now. We've never run year after year after year deficits over $1 trillion until now. We never forced our citizens to buy stuff, pay a tax, or buy something just to remain legal until now. Don't make any mistake here. This election is huge. It is whether we are willing to continue down this road of surrender, decay, and denial, or a different road, a road of rebuilding, of renewal, of restoration, of truth, a road that says America's best days are just over the horizon. This seems like an easy choice, but it's not, because it's not just a matter of flipping a switch. Our leaders are not going to be perfect, and that's the understatement of the century. They are going to disappoint us. They always do, and most likely they will begin on Wednesday. But so will we. A few weeks ago, NASA sent our space shuttle Endeavour on a cross-country trip to California. And I don't know if anybody watched it, but they gave each of us an amazing sight. If you saw the space shuttle, I don't know if anybody's ever seen one launch. I wish everybody had the opportunity. It is the eighth wonder of the world. There is nothing like watching a space shuttle take off. I watched it with my two little kids. They must have been 5 and 6 years old. I held them by the hand, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and the ground must have been 5 miles away, rumbled, and it was daytime in the middle of the night. It was the most awesome sight I've ever seen. Now, my son, who just turned 8, he had only seen the images of the space shuttle on television that he could remember in the last couple of years, and he saw that space shuttle on the back of the 747 swooping low just over the Golden Gate Bridge. And we came back to Texas a couple of weeks ago, and we were on a plane, and he looked out the window and he said, "Dad, look at And I looked out, and it was a 747. And he said, "That's just like the plane the space shuttle rides on." He was so excited to see it. And I was heartbroken, because the space shuttle going away, going into mothballs, he just remembered seeing that thing fly. But I saw the first one. I saw the Challenger. I saw what that really meant. And it was a goodbye to an American age, an age of manned space flight, manned by Americans. Now, if you want to go into space, we got to hitch a ride with the Russians or the Chinese. That doesn't sound good. We're the pioneers. We're the ones that did it. The rest of the world said when we landed on the moon, they said we made it. They all identified themselves as Americans that day. The whole world was an American pioneer. And now we're giving up the role of leadership, not just in space, but on everything. We're told we can't afford to do these things anymore. We can't afford to lead anymore. Excuse me? We have to lead. It's not true. We can afford to explore again. We can afford to dream again. The truth is, we can't afford not to. We just have to restore the truth, common sense, and a faith in who we are, and make the right choices. That's it. And encourage the free market, the dreamers and the entrepreneurs to step in and step up. You can do it. We may not be able to do it as a country anymore, but you can. And the engineers and the scientists and the entrepreneurs that take the risks, they'll know some will fail and some will not. Some will lose absolutely everything, and some will become rich beyond their wildest dreams. And I hope we're at that point to celebrate, because that's America. Let the best man win. And I think he will on Tuesday. Let the best man win, and let the seeds of failure be the seeds for the next great success. Failure is something that we need to fight for just as hard as success. You have to have failure, because you have to be able to choose. Pick yourself up, change your way, chart a new course. That comes from failure. That is a choice. And right now, America has chosen for the last 4 years to lower its sights, to stay on Earth, to dare not explore, dare not dream, eat your vegetables, do what you're told. That's not who we are. So this is our challenge. This now is our mission, to restore the willingness to dream and the willingness to take the great risks again. We must begin a new chapter of American exceptionalism and American exploration and American discovery. And we're not going to get it from one party or one politician or just one dreamer. We will get it when we rest on ourselves, on our neighbors, on our communities, on the truth, on the hard facts that created this country and created man's freedom. I believe not only was that Hollywood movie where like, you can't handle the truth. What was that stupid movie? Whatever. That's a lie. You can't handle the truth. It's a lie. I mean, we should have known that right away, because after all, it's made in Hollywood. But it's a lie. I not only think Americans can handle the truth, Americans are begging for the truth. We want the truth. We want to get on with things. We just want to face the difficult choices and move on. America knows that we're in trouble. You know we're in trouble. We're in trouble financially. Our people have gone astray spiritually. The financial problems didn't start with this president. The people going astray spiritually didn't start with this president. We have A weak economy, that didn't start. A weak dollar, that didn't start. We've put our troops in far too many places all around the world. They're in harm's way on too many missions. I don't even know, the missions don't even make sense anymore. I don't even know why we're in some of these countries. 95 different countries. Why? Why? I don't even know. And that didn't start with this president. And despite our military power and our might, we are now no longer feared. We're no longer respected. We're no longer honored. And our size makes us a target. And the Islamists, they're not going away. I don't care if you call them a workplace incident or not. They're crazy, radical Islamists. And they want to kill us. And I don't care what you can call it the Arab Spring. It's an Arab nightmare. That's what it is. Arab Spring, Arab nightmare. And they are targeting us. And they are hitting us bullseye. Now that's the truth about America. But I'm not afraid. And I don't think you're afraid. I don't think anybody in America is truly afraid, because 9/11 proved to us who we are. We're Americans. And we don't run out of the burning buildings. We run into the burning buildings. We don't cower and hide. We don't call for our mommy. We do our best. We do our best. Whether it's on the ground of Benghazi, whether it's surrounded by labor unions and Black Panthers at the polling booths on Tuesday, or whether it is in the aisle of an airplane over Shanksville, we do our best, and we do what we're supposed to do. I made this list a couple of weeks ago of all the problems in America: a weak economy, a weak dollar, an empty cupboard, jobs, there aren't any being created, businesses on the ropes, enemies all around the world that just want to behead us all. And I thought, okay, that didn't sound like a list of problems. Quite honestly, that sounds like a list that the greatest American generation, sounds just like a to-do list that you check off before lunch. Then you stop, have a sandwich, and then we cure cancer that afternoon. That's what we do. That's what we do. And we're about to do it. It's really not that hard. We just have to believe in ourselves again. The spirit of doing things and dreaming big thoughts, that's what's really truly been taken from us. And we have to start again to take on the big challenges. And you know what? Some of your neighbors aren't going to be ready. That's all right. Just give them hope. Real hope in truth that tomorrow will be better as we take on the big challenges. And if they're not ready to recognize all of the threats around all of us, that's fine. If they're not ready to toil and sweat and to bleed, just tell them, great, that is so great. Would you just get the hell out of the way then? Because we're about to start moving. It's time we declare a second war of independence. True independence. And this war begins here in Ohio right now. A war of independence that is fought with our mind and our heart and our principles and our values. The rest of the world is about to see America get back onto her horse. We're about to get back on the horse and ride west, where the sky is still wide and open. And there's no telling what's just around the horizon for anybody who is brave enough to dream and do. Let us behave like men and women who are determined to be free. This is what our founders would expect from us. This is what our founders would demand. We are better than this. We're better than we've accepted and allowed to happen in our country for the last 12 years. We're better than this. We can be a better country. We can be a better place. We can be a place again where the rest of the world looks up and says, oh my gosh, America, it is so good to see you back. That's who we are. And the world is waiting for us. They're waiting for us in Europe. They're waiting for us in China. They're waiting for us in Israel. They are even waiting for us on the streets of Iran. They're waiting. They need us to return to our principles and our glory. They want us to be strong again, to fight and stand for freedom again, but not just with our might, but with our ideas and our energy, our freedom. Declare today and mean it with every fiber in your being, with firm reliance in the protection of divine providence. We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. If I may get all Jesus on you, I testify that it is true, that He will shape us, and He will protect us, and He will guide us after all that we can do. We don't need signs in people's yards. We don't need poles fixed and twisted so it makes us look better. We certainly don't need fundraisers where we go have dinner with a bunch of movie stars. We will do this the hard way, the right way, together, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, and hand in hand, and we will see it through to the end. And we will lift up, and we will educate, we will teach, we will build, we will comfort, we will love, and we, in the end, will say we really lived. We will get our hands dirty, our faces will be covered with sweat and tears, our hands are going to get calloused and hard and cracked, but in the end, we'll be able to hold our hands up to our children and to the rest of the world and say, these are the hands of a free man. These are the hands of an American. These are the hands that built the world and built it up again when everyone said it couldn't be done. America, this is your moment. Ohio, this is your moment. This is the moment where you lead us out. This is the moment where you give us courage and lead the way so America gets back up off the mat and knocks the bullies out. This is the moment where your hands set the world free once again. God bless you. And may God bless and protect Mitt Romney and the Republic. God bless.